As a French pastry enthusiast, I've always wanted to have a first-hand experience with all the pastries that I love to eat and bake over the years. I just returned from the French Riviera after having a thorough patisserie tour in the beautiful city of Nice. Even though the region is famous for its beautiful marinas, fancy cars, casinos and yachts, not a lot of people know it to be one of the major patisserie centers of France. In the few upcoming episodes, I will take you on a tour throughout the city and share all the things that I learned during that important trip, so don't go anywhere. Just like Lyon, Bordeaux, Strasbourg or Paris, Nice is one of the patisserie hotspots in France. And as each of these cities has its own distinctive regional style, Nice is famous for combining French and Mediterranean influences. That's why it's quite common to find fruits and nuts combined in the pastries over there. After being surprised by the crazy landing in the airport of Nice, where the plane almost landed on water, and being also surprised by the heavy security in the city, as I saw security personnel, rifles and police vehicles more than I saw in Jerusalem, I was finally surprised by how many bakeries were there, as it seemed unreal at some point. I was mentally prepared to find many bakeries, of course, but the number of places I found there was still beyond expectation. The good thing about Nice is that it's a very walkable city, a thing that made it possible to check all the places without having to travel. Boulangeries and patisseries are a world of its own over there. Boulangeries are bakeries that specialize in bread and other baked goods like baguettes, croissants and artisan breads, while patisseries are bakeries that focus on pastries and sweets such as cakes, tarts, cookies, macarons and confectionery in general. Both types of bakeries usually sell viennoiserie, which is a subset of pastries that are usually breakfast styled and are often flaky and buttery, like Danish pastry, brioche and pain suisse. Due to the giant baking culture in France, bakeries have several classes here, and the products have infinite representations and styles. The patisseries I found over there came in three classes. The first is the local bakeries known as Boulangerie du Quartier or neighborhood bakeries, also known as artisan bakeries, and these are usually family run and have more affordable prices compared to larger, more commercial chains. The second type is the commercial chain bakeries, which are a bit fancier and have branches all over town. And the third type is the celebrity chef boutiques, which is very stylish, very expensive, and includes unusual renditions of traditional items. In this episode, we will cover the first type, which is neighborhood bakeries or artisan bakeries, which are all over town, and they vary in the quality of their product, as well as the size of the shops and the number of items offered. One thing most, if not all, artisan bakeries have in common is that they have great basic products like croissants and baguettes that at times can be better than more commercial and more expensive places. One of the best croissants I tried over there was in a shop that didn't seem to be that great, and all they had was a couple of items left before they closed. The place is called Aux Délices de la Bouffa. When it comes to other viennoiserie items or cakes, it really depends on each place's quality, location, and pricing. The cakes in shabbier places were a bit disappointing, and the better the place looked, the better the quality seemed. An example of a not so cheap but a shabby place was the Saint-François Patisserie. They had an assortment of products displayed in the window, which was pretty inviting, but the large raspberry macaron and the eclair we ordered were a bit disappointing. I couldn't feel the choux pastry taste, and the filling was too sweet. The macaron, on the other hand, was also very sweet, and the shells were pretty dry. Another place that had that oversized macaron filled with raspberries, and that actually was a bit better, is Maison Bertina. The products in that place had a uniform, dreamy style, and they also had their unique items, like a pear-shaped cake called Cœur Croix. It wasn't a coincidence that the best croissant I tried over there was from the bakery that won the first place prize in the Best Butter Croissant contest in 2020. That bakery was also an artisan boulangerie, and despite the unassuming location, they make very high quality, freshly made croissants with a huge variety of fillings and toppings. My wife tried the matcha croissant, and I tried the traditional one. The taste, the size, the price, and the honeycomb structure were all 10 out of 10, and we were quite lucky to find a seat over there as the place was really packed. In that place, it was the only time in my life that I saw flavoring ampoules injected into croissants. On the fancier side of artisan patisseries, there was an impressive place that opened around 18 months ago called La Maison de Céline. They had fantastic entremets as well as maritozzi, which is an Italian brioche bun filled with whipped cream. They had much better looking croissants and pain au chocolat than most other places, and they also had cookies. Cookies are associated here with fancier locations and more hip places. Speaking of cookies, there was a nice shop dedicated to cookies in the old town of Nice called Let's Do It. It had such a trendy decoration, and surprisingly, there were only female guests in the shop.
Let's play.
Another fancy artisan patisserie that I came across over there was Nuance, which was unfortunately closed when I passed by. They are also in the same upper range of places offering creative and very beautiful looking items. A good example of small artisan patisseries is Patisserie Motet, which is a very small place in the old town of Nice. They had a small number of items, but each of these items looked very different from what was offered in other places. You could feel the amount of passion invested in this place, which explains the very good reviews it had online. One of the things that impressed me the most over there is that I wasn't used to seeing all the different representations of the similar items. In all the other countries I've been to, pastries and cakes looked the same, regardless of the place that sold them. Maybe there were a few differences or styles of finishing here or there, but in France, everyone is really focused on having a signature look and a special representation for the item they sell. Another interesting place in the artisan patisserie category is an organic bakery I found in the Russian Quarter close to the St. Nicholas Orthodox Cathedral. They had all their products made from organic ingredients, and that wasn't at the expense of variety. It was even the first place I found pain Swiss at, which I had for breakfast that morning. This is one of the items I've always wanted to try, but I never got the chance to find anywhere, mainly in Hungary and Budapest. It's quite interesting because it's made like 90%, the method of making it is similar to croissants, but then it has these very nice lines on top. Probably I'll make one video to show how that's made, so let's try that. It's very good. It's very light as well. I thought that the filling would be much heavier than that. But as you can see, it has these chocolate pieces inside, these chocolate chips. They're very good. For me, it's much better than pain au chocolat because it doesn't have this burnt sour taste of chocolate. Maybe because the pieces are much smaller here and they're spread throughout. We tried the tarte aux pommes amandes for the first time in Boulangerie Patisserie Albert Planchet, where I also saw how baguettes are getting baked for the first time. It was quite regular to stumble over baguette pickup guys stuffing their cars with baguettes or delivering it from one place to another. That was all for today. In the upcoming episode, I will walk you around the second category of patisseries, which is the commercial chain patisseries. Let me know what you think of today's episode in the comments below, and let's meet very soon.